The moment you step into these words, your spirit will recognize that something has been fighting you in silence. And today, heaven rises to answer it. The moment you activate this 60-second back to sender prayer, every hidden enemy assigned to your name will begin to confess, collapse, and lose their power forever. And today is the day you take authority over it all. There are people who smile with you during the day, but speak darkness against you at night. And there are enemies who hide their hands after throwing spiritual arrows into your life. This 60-second prayer is not ordinary. It is a spiritual weapon God uses to expose every hidden attacker who has been operating in darkness. When you understand the power of a simple prophetic act, you will understand that God doesn't need an hour to break chains. Sometimes He only needs 1 minute of your obedience, 1 minute of boldness, 1 minute where you rise up and declare enough is enough. And that single minute becomes the moment every enemy begins to confess, fall, and lose power over your destiny. There are things you've been feeling lately that tell you that someone has been fighting you behind your back. The strange heaviness, the sudden delays, the unexplained frustrations, the dreams that feel like warnings. These are not accidents. They are spiritual signals reminding you that life is not physical alone. Life is spiritual first. And when attacks come spiritually, the solution must also be spiritual. That is why this message unlocks a remedy that works quickly, powerfully, and divinely. The combination of salt, water, and your spoken authority is not magic. It is a divine principle hidden in scripture, used by prophets, used by believers, used by those who understand the language of spiritual warfare. And once you activate it, every witchcraft attempt against your life loses its power instantly. Many believers suffer not because God is silent, but because they don't know the tools He placed in their hands. They don't know that a prophetic act, when combined with faith and spiritual authority, can break chains that have held them for years. They don't know that God honors intentional action, especially when done with understanding. They don't know that the enemy fears believers who rise up with knowledge. When you rise with knowledge, darkness panics. When you rise with understanding, evil trembles. And when you rise with authority, every curse that was sent to destroy you begins to return back to its sender with divine speed. This prayer works because it aligns your spirit with heavenly judgment. It forces heaven to respond because you are not praying from fear. You are praying from revelation. You are stepping into a realm where God exposes what was hidden, judges what was sent against you, and forces every evil word spoken against your life to lose strength. In that moment of activation, angels move, covenants break, and every demonic monitoring spirit that has been following you secretly is arrested. And as you rise spiritually for that 1 minute, the weight of God's presence begins to surround you like a wall of fire, blocking attacks and reversing assignments. You are not hearing this by accident. God brings people into divine knowledge when He is ready to shift their spiritual atmosphere. There is a reason your spirit is connecting with this message right now. There is a reason something inside you is telling you that this is the moment to take back your peace, your health, your mind, your opportunities, your breakthrough, and your destiny. Today becomes the day you silence every enemy. Today becomes the day their evil returns home. Today becomes the day their plans scatter. And in these 60 seconds of spiritual authority, heaven will stand with you. Angels will fight for you, and your enemies will confess and fall. Salt has always carried deep spiritual weight, even before many people understood its power. When you hold salt in your hand for warfare, you are holding a symbol of purity, preservation, and divine judgment. Salt exposes what is hidden, burns what is unclean, and neutralizes whatever the enemy planted in the spirit. That is why witches fear salt. It disrupts their assignments and dries up their spiritual networks. When you use salt intentionally, you are declaring that no evil projection will survive in your environment. You become spiritually untouchable because salt represents the covenant of God, strong, unbreakable, and undefeated in battle. Water carries another dimension of spiritual power because it represents cleansing, exposure, and the washing away of hidden attacks in the realm of the spirit. Water reveals what the enemy tried to bury and uproots what was planted in secret. When your fingers touch the water during this prayer, you are calling for spiritual cleansing over your mind, your home, your finances, your family, and every area of your life. You are declaring that every form of darkness that was hiding around you must be exposed and washed away. Water destabilizes witchcraft altars, weakens demonic connections, and invites the presence of God to flow through your environment like a river of deliverance. Your right hand carries authority, whether you know it or not. Spiritually, the right hand represents power, dominion, and judgment. When you hold the salt in your right hand, you are not just performing an action, you are activating a heavenly verdict. You are releasing authority into the atmosphere, declaring that you refuse to be powerless, that you refuse to be manipulated by witchcraft, and that you refuse to be spiritually blind. The right hand is the hand of victory, and where it is lifted with understanding, it sends shockwaves into the kingdom of darkness. Your voice is the final weapon, because nothing changes in the spirit until something is spoken. Evil words attack you because someone somewhere spoke them. And the only way to reverse those words is with a stronger voice backed by divine authority. When you declare back to the sender, you are not speaking to humans, you are speaking to demons, to curses, to arrows, to altars, and to invisible forces that have been influencing situations in your life. Your words become fire, judgment, and spiritual command. They chase the enemy out of your environment and send every evil intention back to the originator with multiplied force. When these elements, salt, water, your right hand, and your voice come together, they become a prophetic weapon that is impossible for darkness to resist. This combination creates a spiritual vibration that breaks witchcraft, exposes enemies, scatters demonic gatherings, and forces every evil projection to turn back immediately. It is not superstition, it is spiritual technology, it is divine strategy. It is the kind of act that awakens angelic forces around you and triggers immediate heavenly judgment. That is why this prayer works so quickly. That is why your enemies will confess. That is why witchcraft loses its power the moment you activate this. When you begin the prayer, the first thing you do is take a small pinch of salt and place it in your right hand. This simple action might look ordinary, but in the realm of the spirit, you are lifting a weapon of purity and judgment. You are holding something that disrupts darkness, absorbs evil projections, and burns spiritual impurities. As the salt touches your skin, let your spirit understand that you are taking authority and you are declaring that whatever was sent to poison your life is now being neutralized. Be the power of God. This is your first step into spiritual dominion. After the salt is in your hand, dip your fingers into the water. This act represents cleansing, spiritual purification, and exposure of hidden enemies. The moment water touches your fingers, you are prophetically washing away every invisible hand that has been trying to manipulate your destiny. You are cleansing your pathways, your home, your progress, and your opportunities. You are declaring that anything that was spiritually attached to you without your permission must be uprooted and washed away. This step prepares the atmosphere for divine judgment. Once the salt and water come together on your hand, lift your right hand slowly. Lifting your hand is not just a gesture. It is an announcement to the spirit world that you have taken your place in spiritual authority. The right hand symbolizes victory, dominion, and heavenly backing. As you raise it, angels rise with you, darkness retreats, evil shrinks. This act is your way of saying, I stand under the power of God, and I refuse to bow to witchcraft. When your hand is lifted, your spirit becomes charged with divine power. With your right hand raised, speak with authority and declare the words that carry fire and judgment. Every evil sent against me back to the sender. Speak it loudly. Speak it boldly. Speak it without fear. These words are not ordinary. They are spiritual commands. They send confusion into the camp of your enemies. They destroy evil spells. They reverse every arrow that was released against your health, your finances, your relationships, and your peace. When you speak these words 3 times, you are releasing a divine decree that heaven honors immediately. After speaking the declaration, gently sprinkle the mixture of salt and water in front of you. This is a prophetic action that marks spiritual territory. You are telling the E, you cannot cross this line. You are resisting the forces that have attempted to trespass into your life. You are spiritually closing every door that witchcraft used to attack you. As the water touches the ground, every evil projection loses access. As the salt falls, judgment is released. This step disconnects you from every evil altar and sends instant fire into any witchcraft assignment. As you sprinkle the mixture, your spirit begins a shift. You will feel the atmosphere changing around you. Sometimes you will sense a sudden lightness or a sudden calm or even a strong presence of peace surrounding you. That is because the prophetic action you performed is spiritually powerful. It forces angels to stand guard around you and forcefully rejects every evil spirit attempting to monitor your life. This moment becomes a divine reset, a cleansing of your environment and a sealing of your spiritual walls. To complete the prayer, speak the final declaration with fire in your voice. Let God arise and let every enemy confess and fall. This statement calls for divine judgment and it invites the presence of God to move in your situation. It forces every evil plan to collapse, exposes every hidden enemy, and destroys every spiritual attack that was waiting to manifest. When you speak this, heaven responds immediately. God rises on your behalf. Angels strike your enemies. Evil altars crumble. Witchcraft assignments scatter. All of this happens within 60 seconds. It does not take long for the spirit realm to shift. When you follow these steps with understanding, authority, and faith, the power of God moves quickly. This 1-minute act becomes a spiritual explosion that travels into every area of your life. Your home, your workplace, your relationships, your finances, your health. And once it is activated, no enemy survives. No evil stands. No witchcraft resists. Every evil it turns to its sender. And every attacker begins to confess and fall. The moment you begin this 60-second prayer, something shifts instantly in the invisible realm. The combination of salt, water, your lifted hand, and your prophetic declaration works like a spiritual alarm that rings in the kingdom of darkness. Witchcraft networks that were hiding in silence are suddenly shaken. Evil arrows that were moving toward you freeze midair. Demonic spirits assigned to monitor you are blinded and bound. In those few seconds, heaven begins to respond to your cry, and divine fire begins to move through every corner of your life, exposing what was hidden and destroying what was sent against you. As soon as you make your declaration, confession begins in the spirit. Hidden enemies, those pretended to love you, those who plotted behind your back, those who used your name in poisonous conversations, begin to lose the spiritual cover that was protecting them. The light of God exposes their hearts, their intentions, their words, and their actions. Sometimes you will see people acting strangely around you afterwards because the prayer forces spiritual truth to break into the physical world. Those who attacked you spiritually will not be able to hide anymore. The weight of their own evil begins to return upon them. In those 60 seconds, every witchcraft arrow sent against your life loses its power completely. If an enemy tried to project sickness, it reverses. If they try to project poverty, it collapses. If they try to send confusion, it fails. If they try to send monitoring spirits to steal your dreams or weaken your spirit, those spirits are chained instantly. The prayer creates a spiritual shield that blocks anything the enemy formed against you. It becomes a divine barrier that no demonic force can cross or break. The moment you sprinkle the saltwater mixture, evil covenant are broken. Any spiritual contract made against your name, knowingly or unknowingly, is destroyed. Evil handwriting is erased. Demonic vows spoken against your destiny are cancelled. Every spiritual agreement made by those who hate your progress returns to them. This is why the prayer forces judgment within seconds. It disconnects you from every place where your name, your photo, or your energy was being used for evil. The link is cut. The chain is broken. The assignment is destroyed. As this happens, angels of warfare begin to move. They go to the source of the attack, whether a person, a place, or an altar, and they begin to dismantle it. They shatter the communication between the sender and the evil spirit they use. They scatter the gatherings where your name was mentioned. They bring confusion into the plans of those who meant to harm you. They cause spiritual panic among your enemies because your declaration has activated divine judgment. God himself enters the battlefield. And when God fights for you, no enemy survives. The prayer also silences monitoring spirits immediately. These are spirits that follow you, watch you, study you, and report back to the enemy. They are the reason some people feel watched, drained, or blocked in certain seasons. But during this prayer, every monitoring spirit is struck down. Their spiritual eyes closed, their spiritual ears shut, their spiritual assignment ends. They cannot track you again because the prophetic action creates spiritual blindness around your enemies while opening divine protection around you. The final thing that happens in those 60 seconds is spiritual restoration. The moment the attack is reversed, the damage the enemy attempted to cause begins to heal. If your joy was stolen, it returns. If your peace was tampered with, it restores. If your dreams were blocked, they open. If your finances were attacked, they revive. God begins to reclaim everything that enemy tried to steal from you. And all of this unfolds because you took 1 minute to activate divine power. That short moment of warfare becomes the turning point that forces every enemy to confess and fall while you rise in victory. One of the first signs that this prayer has worked is the immediate peace that comes over you. It is a deep spiritual calm that settles in your chest and clears the heaviness that has been sitting on your mind. Before doing the prayer, many people feel tension, confusion, or spiritual pressure without knowing where it comes from. But once the prophetic action is completed, that weight lifts instantly. You feel lighter spiritually, mentally, and emotionally because the chains that were holding your spirit have been broken. God's presence fills the place where darkness once tried to rest, and that peace becomes the first confirmation that the back-to-sender judgment has begun. Another sign is the sudden clarity that comes in your dreams. When the prayer is activated, heaven begins to reveal the identities of hidden enemies, unconscious attackers, and those who have been secretly jealous or resentful toward you. Sometimes you will dream of people confessing, running, or being exposed. Sometimes you will see situations in your sleep that explain what has been happening behind the scenes. These dreams are not random. They are spiritual answers. They are God's way of showing you that the prayer is already working and that those who thought you spiritually cannot hide anymore. The truth will begin to manifest through your dreams. A third sign is unusual behavior from certain individuals around you. When the prayer forces confession in the spirit, some enemies begin to panic physically. They may suddenly avoid you, become overly kind, act uncomfortable in your presence, or even slip up and confess things indirectly. People who used to speak boldly may become silent. People who used to fight you indirectly may suddenly change their tone. These reactions happen because the prayer has disrupted their spiritual confidence. The evil energy they depended on has been cut off, and they can no longer operate freely around you. Their behavior reveals what their heart tried to hide. You may also experience unexpected breakthroughs soon after performing the prayer. Doors that were locked begin to open. Delay breaks. Opportunities reappear. Things that were stuck for months start moving again within days or even hours. This happens because the prayer not only sends back evil, but also clears the spiritual blockages that were created by witchcraft. When the barriers fall, your blessings flow freely. God begins to restore everything the enemy tried to sabotage. These sudden breakthroughs, financial, emotional, relational, or spiritual, are clear signs that God has stepped into your situation and reversed the attack. Lastly, you will notice that the spiritual heaviness that used to follow you begins to dissolve permanently. The monitoring presence that made you feel watched disappears. The fear that used to whisper in your mind weakens. The strange patterns that repeated in your life break. This is because the prayer not only forces confession and judgment, but also seals your spiritual space with divine fire. The environment around you changes. Your home feels lighter. Your spirit feels stronger. Your atmosphere shifts. And when these changes begin to manifest, it becomes clear that the prayer has done its work. The attack has returned, the enemy has confessed, and you have stepped into a place of victory that no witchcraft power can touch again. Before and after performing this prayer, you must be spiritually disciplined because warfare requires purity of intention and a clean atmosphere. Never perform this prayer when you are angry, bitter, or emotionally unstable, because negative emotions weaken your spiritual authority. You are not fighting from the flesh. You are fighting from the spirit. Before you begin, calm your mind, breathe deeply, and center yourself in God's presence. This prepares your spirit to speak with authority instead of frustration. Those who speak out of fear or rage give the enemy room to operate, but those who speak from revelation silence darkness instantly. Make sure your heart is steady before you activate this prophetic act. You must also avoid certain things after the prayer, because the moment you judge the enemy spiritually, the enemy may attempt to distract or weaken you. After performing this prayer, do not engage in gossip, arguments, unnecessary conversations, or emotional battles with people. The enemy often uses human interactions to re-enter the open door you just closed. Keep your atmosphere spiritually clean. Play worship music if you can. Pray in your heart. Maintain silence. Let the power of the prayer continue working without interruption. When you protect your atmosphere, the judgment you release completes its work without resistance. Another important warning is to never mix this prayer with curiosity about dark things, strange spiritual practices, or emotional revenge. Your intention must remain aligned with divine judgment, not personal hatred. You are not performing this act to harm innocent people. You are performing it to reverse the evil sent against you. There is a difference. When your heart is clean, God fights for you. When your heart is polluted, the enemy uses it against you. Keep your spirit aligned with heaven. Stand firm. Declare justice, not revenge. This ensures the prayer works with full divine backing and prevents spiritual contamination. Be aware that once you perform this prayer, witchcraft can sense that something has shifted. The enemy may attempt quick counterattacks, strange dreams, sudden anxiety, or small irritations to test your confidence. Do not fear. These reactions are proof that the prayer has hit the enemy's camp. Stand your ground. Repeat the declaration if needed. Pray in your heart. The moment you show fear, the enemy tries to regain strength. But when you stand boldly and refuse to react emotionally, the attack dies completely. Remember, fear feeds witchcraft, but authority destroys it. Finally, understand that faith is the engine of this prayer. Without faith, it becomes just an action. With faith, it becomes spiritual fire. Believe that when you lifted your right hand, heaven recognized your authority. Believe that when you sprinkled the salt water mixture, angels moved. Believe that when you declared back to the sender, every evil returned to its owner. Faith completes what your hands began. Faith seals the spiritual judgment. Faith ensures that no enemy rises again. When your belief is strong, the prayer works instantly, powerfully, and permanently, forcing every hidden attacker to confess, fall, and lose access to your destiny forever. As you enter this final moment, lift your spirit and prepare your heart, because this is where the power of your declaration becomes a spiritual weapon that no enemy can resist. Let your voice rise with confidence, because heaven responds to boldness. Speak with the authority of someone who knows they are divinely protected. This activation is not a suggestion. It is a spiritual command. As you prepare to release these words, understand that God's angels are already positioned around you, and the fire of judgment is ready to move. This is the moment where every monitoring spirit loses power, every witchcraft assignment collapses, and every evil plan begins to return to its owner. You are not begging, you are commanding. Now open your mouth and declare with fire every evil sent against me back to the sender immediately. Say it like someone who is tired of oppression. Say it like someone who refuses to be spiritually manipulated. When you speak this, heaven releases a decree that travels into every place your name has been mentioned for evil. It enters every altar, every conversation, every attack, and every hidden plot, reversing it instantly. These words do not return empty. They carry judgment, they carry power, they carry divine force. In that single command, you are spiritually closing doors that were opened against you and scattering every force that stood against your destiny. Declare again with authority. Let every hidden enemy confess and fall by the power of God. These words force exposure. They push truth out of darkness. They cause those who spiritually attacked you to lose their cover. No matter how far they hide, no matter how confidently they pretend, no matter how secretly they operate, the light of God begins to chase them. Their spiritual disguise tears away. Their plots fail in their hands. Confusion hits their camp. Weakness enters their foundation, and the evil they plan begins to backfire. When you release this declaration, heaven forces confession, and those who fought you spiritually cannot stand. Then speak the breaker prayer that seals the judgment. I disconnect myself from every evil altar, every curse, every spell, every projection, and every spiritual chain right now. When these words come out of your mouth, chains break. Evil covenants shatter, dark agreements dissolve. Whatever was tying you spiritually begins to lose its grip instantly. Generational chains, spoken curses, jealous intentions, and silent witchcraft arrows collapse under the weight of your authority. This declaration cleans your spiritual atmosphere and clears your path so that the power of God can move freely in your life. You are no longer spiritually reachable. You are no longer spiritually vulnerable. You are covered by divine fire. Finally, release the sealing command. My life is surrounded with fire. My home is surrounded with fire. My destiny is surrounded with fire. No evil will rise again. This sealing declaration closes the prayer with divine protection. It places fire around your name, your sleep, your family, your finances, your steps, and your future. It creates a spiritual barrier that no witch, no curse, no projection, and no evil spirit can cross. From this moment forward, your environment becomes spiritually untouchable. What attacked you before cannot attack you again. What followed you before cannot follow you again. What fought you before has fallen permanently. And as this sealing fire settles, the prayer completes its work. Every evil returns home. Every enemy confesses, and you rise into a new level of victory that no darkness can ever steal from you. This is Joshua Selman Wisdom. Stand firm in your victory. Remember, this authority is yours. This victory is your portion. Walk in it and never look back. Now, let us move into the moment of activation. Get your salt and your water ready. This is not a time for hesitation. This is your moment of deliverance. As you prepare, let your faith rise up. Believe that in these next 60 seconds, every chain will break. Every enemy will be exposed. Every attack will be reversed. Heaven is waiting for your command. The angels are listening for your voice. Do this now with all your heart. First, take a pinch of salt in your right hand. Feel it in your palm. This is your covenant symbol. This is your weapon of purity. As you hold it, declare in your spirit, I carry the preserving power of God. Nothing corrupt can remain in my life. Now, dip the fingers of your right hand into the water. Let the water touch the salt in your hand. Feel the mixture. This is the combination of cleansing and judgment. As you do this, say in your mind, every hidden thing is now washed into the light. Every unclean attachment is dissolved. Lift your right hand slowly towards the heavens. Feel the authority surge through your arm. You are lifting the hand of victory. You are signaling to the spirit realm that you are taking your stand. Do not rush this. Feel the weight of this moment. You are no longer a victim. You are a warrior commanding the atmosphere. Now, speak out loud with a voice full of fire and conviction. Do not whisper. Command the darkness. Every evil sent against me, back to the sender now. Every curse, every spell, every arrow, back to your source. Every monitoring spirit, every witchcraft assignment, I reverse you now in the name of Jesus. Back to the sender. Say it again with even more power. Let it come from deep within you. I command it. Every evil thing fashioned against my life, my health, my family, my finances, my destiny, turn back now. Return to the hands that sent you. Back to the sender with the fire of God. One more time, seal with a shout of authority. By the power in the name of Jesus, I send it all back. I cancel every evil projection. I neutralize every poison. Back to the sender. Let the fire of God consume the attack. Now, with that same authority, sprinkle the saltwater mixture from your hand in front of you. Do it with intention. As the drops fall, see in the spirit every evil plan hitting the ground and shattering. See every invisible chain breaking. See a wall of fire rising around you. Immediately follow it with this decree of exposure and judgment. Speak it clearly. Let God arise and let every enemy be scattered. Let every hidden enemy be exposed right now. Let every mouth that whispered against me be shut. Let every hand that plotted in secret be paralyzed. I call for divine confession. I call for divine exposure. Let every enemy of my progress confess and fall by fire. Now, seal your freedom with this breaker prayer. Declare over yourself. I disconnect myself from every evil altar. I break every generational curse. I sever every demonic covenant. I cancel every witchcraft signature over my life. I am free from every spiritual chain. My life is redeemed from every destruction. The blood of Jesus cleanses me now. Finally, command a wall of fire for your permanent protection. Proclaim this over your entire life. From this moment, my life is surrounded by the fire of God. My home is sealed by the fire of God. My destiny is guarded by the fire of God. I walk in a circle of divine protection. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. No evil will rise a second time. I am untouchable to the kingdom of darkness. I am shielded by the power of the Most High God. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Breathe deeply. Receive the peace. Feel the shift. The heaviness is gone. The oppression is lifting. You have just enacted a divine principle. You have commanded the spiritual realm with the authority God gave you. The process has begun. Heaven's court has ruled in your favor. The reversal is in motion. Walk away from this place knowing something has changed. Do not dwell on the how or the when. Simply know that you have obeyed and God is faithful. Your job is to stand in the victory you have just declared. Do not take back your words with doubt. Do not entertain fear. When thoughts of the old attack come, remind yourself, I sent it back. It is finished. Go about your days with a new confidence. Expect the signs we talked about, the peace, the dreams, the sudden breakthroughs, the strange behavior from opponents. These are your confirmations. These are the fingerprints of God on your situation, proving that your 60-second prayer of authority shook the foundations of hell and established a new season of victory for your life. This is your turning point. This is your divine reversal. From Joshua's Selman wisdom, we release this grace and authority upon you. Stand firm. You are more than a conqueror. The battle was never yours. It was the Lord's. And today he has fought for you. Now go and live in the freedom you have taken hold of. Amen.